Although armies have used crude weapons of mass destruction since ancient times, World War I began the era of modern chemical warfare. At the time, these deadly warfare agents were drawn only from existing industrial chemicals. Since then, chemical weapons have been willfully developed with the sole purpose of harming people. And their use has expanded beyond governments and militaries to attacks by non-state groups and by individuals. This video will introduce you to the threat and effects of weaponized chemicals, and is the first step towards educating yourself on what you need to know to respond to and prepare for a chemical incident, such as a chemical attack.
A chemical attack is the purposeful use of chemical substances to harm people, cause economic or property damage, or instill fear or panic.
In our society, we use chemicals on a daily basis. They're used in industry, they're even used to make pharmaceuticals, they're used as household cleaning products.
Chemical weapons can result from household or commercial use products that are readily available.
And they're pretty easy to get a hold of. People could take them from an industry. They could just purchase them. You can purchase chemicals on the internet.
Not to say there aren't more sophisticated weapons out there that terrorists can use, such as nerve gas or blistering agents such as mustard gas, but clearly more available.
Chemical attacks can employ materials designed specifically to cause harmful effects, such as chemical warfare agents.
And those are more difficult to get a hold of, but they could be made. They could be smuggled into the country from other places.
Probably one of the best known is the sarin gas attack in the Tokyo subway. That was in 1995, led to 12 deaths, about 1,000 people who were exposed and treated.
A terrorist group made sarin, a chemical warfare agent, a nerve agent, and they released it in the subway during a peak rush hour. They punctured a container, the liquid leaked onto the floor, and then it caused vapors to rise inside the train cars.
Some recent notable chemical attacks include the use of nerve agents in the assassination of Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, and the assassination of Russian defector Sergei Skripal in Salisbury, England. We've also seen chemical attacks such as chlorine used in the Middle East by groups such as ISIS. And in the United States, Todd Freeze, who was convicted of using improvised chemical device to create a chlorine gas in Tucson, Arizona. This attack sent 9 individuals to the hospital for toxic gas exposure. Possibly the most notable chemical attack in the United States occurred in 1982 when potassium cyanide-laced Tylenol capsules resulted in the deaths of 7 individuals in the Chicago metropolitan area.
Fortunately, in the U.S., we haven't had a large-scale chemical incident that was intentional.
How do chemical attacks occur?
Chemical attacks can occur by several different ways.
Sabotage of transportation modes, storage facilities, production facilities, these are all locations of potential attack.
Somebody could bring a tank of gas inside, open a valve and release it. They could pour a chemical onto the ground. People could mix the chemicals right on the spot, take 2 chemicals that aren't very toxic, pour them together, and they could generate a toxic gas. Someone could spray something, or it could be released as a mist or fogger, or even released from above like an aircraft. Typically it would be a place where there are a lot of people gathered together.
What if I'm caught in a chemical incident?
If you think you've been impacted by a chemical incident,
Call out and alert people. See something, say something.
If you see a gas cloud, a mist, if you hear an explosion, you hear fizzing, misting of some kind, a loud pop, you could see someone mixing chemicals and see sputtering, violent chemical reaction.
are you seeing people that are coughing, people that are collapsing, or people that are nauseous? Are you experiencing similar symptoms?
It's what you feel that's probably the most important, but you may start to feel ill pretty quickly as well. And that could be anything from getting sweaty and shaking. It could be nausea and vomiting, burning eyes, burning throat, cough, difficulty breathing, dizziness, headache, difficulty walking, and maybe even feel like you're going to pass out.
Many chemicals will have distinctive odors. Hydrogen sulfide will have that rotten egg kind of smell. Chlorine has a very distinctive odor. Chlorine gas has a color. It's a greenish cloud of gas.
All this is a sign that some major chemical incident or attack has occurred.
Don't take a chance. Evacuate the area as quickly as you can. Make sure that you are not trapped in an environment or going to become a casualty. go for clean, fresh air, get out of the exposure. If you're outside, you don't want to follow the plume. You don't want to walk towards a more concentrated gas environment. So walk perpendicular to the way the wind's blowing.
Avoid any contact with suspected chemicals, contaminated surfaces, or contaminated people to the fullest extent possible.
If you're sure you've got something on your skin,
take care of yourself by either spot absorption, decontamination with a paper towel or something like that.
With paper, with flour, with dirt.
Spot absorb. Remove it, don't rub it off. Remove contaminated clothes and put those aside so they can be stored and disposed of.
Disrobing removes about 90% of contamination for people that are fully clothed when they're exposed.
And just be careful not to contaminate other areas of your body.
Making the right decisions within the first 5 minutes is going to save lives.
What happens after a chemical incident?
Typically, law enforcement will get there first.
If first responders have not already come to the scene, report that incident to 911.
Shortly thereafter, expect to see fire and emergency services, the firemen with the moon suits that people may be familiar with. And then you should see the hazardous materials response teams.
And when first responders arrive in a safe zone, listen to them, inform them of your exposures.
Provide as much detail about the chemical hazard as possible, to include descriptions on what happened, where it happened. Was it liquid, a gas? How much did they see? What medical symptoms did they observe? And what they may have smelled about the chemical hazard.
Let them know of any symptoms you've witnessed in other people and also with yourself.
What is the likelihood of a chemical attack?
The U.S. government currently has no indication that any actor is planning a chemical attack in the United States.
There is a possibility that we might be faced with a chemical attack in the future. It's very difficult to develop a chemical device and have it go off successfully if you're a terrorist and don't have a strong technical background. There are other choices that make other incident types a little more preferable without injuring yourself in the process. And so it's probably one of the reasons why chemical attacks aren't quite as frequent.
But a chemical attack can occur, especially perpetrated by an insider, someone working in the chemical industry, or throughout segments within the supply chain, or someone with technical expertise and knowledge of the target. The important thing is that we keep the insider threat in mind.
Chemical incidences occur on the accident level. Very rarely are there chemical attacks conducted domestically.
Most likely they're going to be accidents. We have tremendous amounts of toxic industrial chemicals that are being transported near and through our community on a daily basis, and accidents do happen. We have a lot of safety and security measures that we put in place to try to prevent those or try to mitigate the impact of those when they do occur.
What is the government doing to prepare?
It's a very comprehensive effort across the federal government, working in partnership with industry, working with our state and local partners, particularly targeting the public safety, public health officials in our communities to make sure that we're ready.
The FBI neutralizes chemical WMD threats through investigation, analysis, intelligence sharing, and operational activities, protecting the United States and its interests.
Your first responder organizations are becoming better and better equipped, better trained. They're exercising with their surrounding communities, with their jurisdictional partners, with their state and local partners. So if and when this could occur, we are ready. We're very prepared.
We have CFATS, which is Chemical Facilities Anti-Terrorism Standards, which is a program that imposes safety and security measures to industry where dangerous chemicals, toxic chemicals are manufactured.
How can the community work together?
How the public can be better informed is to understand the types of facilities they have in their communities, whether it be production facilities or storage facilities, those types of things. Being aware that they're in their community will help them better prepare and reach out to those resources, understand what those threats are, understand what you're up against. Reach out to your local fire community and understand what they're preparing for.
Additional protective measures to reduce the impact of a chemical attack include reviewing and improving emergency procedures, signage, and security systems, identifying areas vulnerable to attack, and implementing programs to detect suspicious packages, vehicles, and personnel.
Help build a community around the preparedness actions that you can take, because whole community isn't just the first responders. The first responder is the public.